Suited pre-breathe complete. Confirm freelance for venting at pre-breathe complete.
EV1's go.
One more go.
Departure down.
Copy, initiating cabin venting.
There we go.
That is great news.
Exciting.
So that breathing of increase, that pre-breathe where they were breathing increased oxygen, we just heard that they're good. They all four crew members gave the go. So now we're gonna vent the cabin.
Yeah, in total, this will take. In total, this will take about 8 minutes, and you can, the graphics you see on your screen, that's live telemetry, everybody. So you can see the pressure inside Dragon starting to tick down. You're gonna see the suit pressure tick down as well, is what we're really trying to maintain is a pressure differential. And so with these suits, we're gonna be hovering right around 5 or so. You might see about 4.9 to 5.1, 5.2. It'll be about 4.9, and then we'll probably see it go up a little bit when they reinitiate the secondary flow for cooling.
Copy 7.
Yeah, Dan, and you talked about that, about 5 PSI is what the suit will be. We're actually a little bit lower in the EMU.
Yeah.
And so we've talked a lot about mobility. That difference between we're at 4.2 and they're going to be at 5, it can actually make quite a bit of difference just in how hard it can be to move the suit around, et cetera.
Yeah, this crew got to, and that's something we can simulate, you know, in a vacuum chamber or even just in 14.7. You can simulate that differential pressure. Getting calls from the crew. They're monitoring along.
EV1's good.
We're gonna hear that kind of. We're going to hear that chorus pretty frequently, where you do those kind of frequent, almost like check-ins. And I know you guys did something kind of similar where like you would have to pause and, you know, check your gloves, that kind of stuff.
We did. I will tell you, one of the interesting things watching this live right now, the difference is how quickly the depressurization is happening here versus what my experience was. And so you talked about being able to clear your ears and all that. You're not giving a lot of time for your... You're not giving a lot of time for your ears to adapt to that lower pressure. So this seems pretty quick to me.
Yeah, breaking new ground with this, new suits, new operations for everything. We're at about 4.5. We're going to see that tick down. It's going to get down to just under 1, and it's not going to go all the way down. And then what we'll actually see is we've got a capability to open the hatch automatically. We've got a motor in it, but Jared's actually going to unlatch it, and he's going to give it a little tug to kind of break the seal, break any of the kind of the stiction in the hatch itself, and that's going to kind of take the capsule down to its final vent before Sarah, who's at the displays, she's going to command the hatch to actually open.
Yeah. That's a good point. And, you know, there will be slightly more pressure inside the capsule, so really just helping.
4 PSI, seat pressures look good.
SpaceX copies 4.
So Jared really can't open the hatch all in one fluid motion, so we will see him release that pressure slightly before being able to open it completely.
And I think one of the important things, you guys, I think I talked earlier about you put some more restraint devices inside the capsule from when I flew on it. And that's extremely important because there's going to be some force that Jared's going to have to be pulling down on, and he needs to be able to anchor his feet somehow. Otherwise, he's going to pull and it's not going to go anywhere. And so the new restraint devices in there, we're going to see how important that's going to become here when he tries to open that hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's why we have Skywalker out there. We've talked about how kind of similar to Gemini when they were first kind of stressing their legs, but important to remember, we've got that 50 or 60 years of spaceflight history that we're able to draw on. These are new suits. This is a new operation. This is to, work out all the kinks and really test this for the first time. But we're going into this with a whole lot more information than they had back then. We know you need handrails, or it's going to get real hard real quick.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
We did also hear Dragon's moving into its EVA orientation. Essentially, we're going to point the trunk at the sun under 3 psi.
I think it's also interesting. You notice that the depressurization has slowed down a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as we get to this lower pressure, it's just taking it longer for that remaining little bit of air to go out through the vents.
And EV1, com check.
EV1, loud and clear.
Loud and clear as well.
And also hear the Vox starting to adjust its levels.
Yeah.
That flow of oxygen has not stopped, but the microphone's kind of adjusted and it's getting a little bit clearer. And yeah, keep an ear out. You might hear their voices start to tenor down a little bit.
I do think that's an important point, Dan, that how important comm is, right? And when it's compromised a little bit just by that extra airflow and the Vox not keeping up with it right away, how challenging it was just to hear those calls, and they can be some pretty important calls.
Of course.
Comm is just critical.
We can see Dragon capsule now approaching close to 2 psia. Like Dan mentioned earlier, that's going to get to just under 1. It's incredible to think that, the Dragon capsule in all of its power and glory and awesomeness, the new capsule is around their bodies, right?
Yeah.
That is what is going to protect them from the vacuum of space. And, just seeing how, even though it's puffed up and we know that it's, holding that pressure, it still looks so cool, for lack of a better word.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
Oh, we're good. Supply 2 dead.
Yeah, you really have 4 mini spaceships in there.
Pressure approaching 2 psi.
I guess that means we have 4 aliens in there too.
Yeah, that's right.
Dragon SpaceX, less than 1 psi from hatch operating pressure. We have a TDRS handover in 2 minutes. We are going to wait until after the TDRS handover to command into hatch open prep.
EV1 copy.
And I think you heard that, the TDRS handover. So there's going to be a short period of time there where they're out of comm, and it's kind of interesting because we're at a very critical phase as well. And so you want to make sure you have all the data and the ability to talk to the astronauts before you actually take that next critical step.
We'll see it. We're seeing that pressure continue to tick down. Dragon originally designed to be able to still operate in a vacuum. That was some of the emergency situations I know you trained for, Mike. We did make some modifications to this one to essentially turn Dragon into a functional airlock. We added some additional vent paths. We do use some of the same ones that you guys use to pressurize the vestibule and stuff like that. That are actually in the hatch, but we've got an extra one in there to be able to essentially do that depress as quickly as we did. But we're gonna see that get down to a little under 1, and then we're gonna see Jared kind of jump into action. He's gonna unlatch the hatch, and then he's gonna give it a little pull to break the initial stiction, and then we're gonna be able to see Sarah.
1.5 psia. All suits look good.
EV1 copy.
Now, it's one thing to note that while we have been progressing through this pretty quickly, we did have the capability to pause if any of the 4 crew members needed to, take a moment to, let their ears come to equilibrium or just kind of get comfortable again. We did have that option, but everything has been going really well so far. We haven't had to pause cabin venting.
And if you're just tuning in, heck of a time to do it. We're about
Good timing.
a little under 28 minutes into the spacewalk today, which again, that started when we started flowing O2 to the suits of these crew members. That was at 3:12 Pacific, 10:12 UTC. We just heard that Dragon's now in its EVA attitude.
Handover complete.
So again, we've got Dragon's trunk pointing towards the
we are
sun.
with you on board, watching through the cross view.
That was SpaceX core Arthur Berrialt, just letting the crew know that where the cameras are on inside and basically which camera is looking at them.
It's so fun to hear Arthur's voice because he was actually a part of our mission as well. In fact, Arthur was an intern. Started out as an intern when we were first starting the training, and so now to see him as a core and is pretty neat.
Very similar to Sarah, who also started as an intern.
Yes,
yep.
Yeah.
Right, we're coming up on 1 PSI. You saw the light change a little bit through that window as we're in our EVA position, trunk facing the sun. That's going to help us with thermal inside the capsule and on the crew suits. Also going to make sure we're maintaining that optimal pointing for communications with the TDRS satellites. Once the hatch is open, we're going to disable any of the Draco thrusters that point forward because you don't want thrusters firing off when a crew member's outside. We're at 1. You can see the suit pressure is ticked down too. There's about 4.7 difference between the suit and the ambient cabin there in Dragon.
That umbilical that you see there just to the side of Jared, that will continue to flow the air into his suit as well as provide telemetry and communications connection. That's also where we have the safety harness built in as well, so it's able to...
Dragon SpaceX, cabin pressure below hatch operating limit. Stand by for transition to hatch open prep.
Here we go. Mike, did you get to open the hatch?
I did. Yes. Yeah. When you go out as
EVA hatch open front.
Dragon SpaceX, we're in EVA hatch open prep. Confirm crew ready to open hatch.
That is great news.
Hatch opening. EV1's good.
EV2's good.
EV1 good. EV2 good. SpaceX, EV1, we're ready to open the hatch.
SpaceX copies. Dragon, you are go to open hatch.
Go. Exciting.
Copy that, SpaceX. Go to open the hatch.
Mike, as you mentioned before, that continuous communication.
The hatch handle.
As you can hear, we do have a crowd gathering outside of Mission Control here in Hawthorne. In their excitement, somebody dropped a cup. We can see our commander, Jared Isaacman, now turning the crank, which allows the that top hatch to open. We'll see him give it a pretty heavy...
SpaceX, EV1, hatch is visually indicating open.
SpaceX copies. Stand by.
Should see him give that hatch a pretty strong jolt to release that stiction. Hatch is now unlatched.
Mike talked about, we see him getting his feet set.
That's right. Dan, you'd asked if I'd gotten to open the hatch. So when you go out as EV1, just like Jared here as EV1, that's typically the role for you is to open that hatch. And
you guys have to draw straws, fight over who gets. It's exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Now, for those of you that have just recently joined, as you can see, we have successfully depressurized the Dragon capsule down to 0 PSIA. You see that in the bottom left corner of your screen. Our 4 Polaris Dawn crew members have gone through the O2 flow, and we see Commander Jared Isaacman now standing by to open that top hatch. The nose cone is already open. It opened just shortly after the crew got into orbit. So,
Dragon SpaceX target pressure reached.
Copy that, SpaceX. I'm unseating the hatch now.
Jared now opening Dragon Resilience
The hatch is unseated.
into space.
So you saw some motion on the hatch. Again, he's just giving it kind of that initial tug. And then Sarah gets to push the button to swing that hatch open.
Much more movement there on the forward hatch. Must be pretty exciting for Jared because that center part of
Dragon SpaceX, that's a good brace. We're going to have you repeat the operation.
Center of the hatch actually has a window.
Copy that, SpaceX. The hatch is unseated.
Copy.
Let's give it another call. The hatch is several inches inflated from really light.
Copy. We see it.
Looking out that tiny window there in the forward hatch, knowing he is going to have a much bigger window in just minutes.
Dragon SpaceX vent complete. EV1 return to seat.
And EV1 copy, transitioning back under the display.
So again, one of the reasons we had Jared do that was to...
Dragon SpaceX, we're actually watching that hatch. We're going to have you repeat the last operation.
Sounds like they're going to have him repeat them. One of the reasons we're doing that is just to kind of vent any of that residual atmosphere.
Up from under the display.
And EV1, you are go for manual hatch open.
Sounds like we got our first audible of the day. As we said, that we can open the hatch.
Opening the hatch manually.
We could open the hatch. We could open the hatch automatically, or we can do it manually. And so they just gave Jared the go to open that hatch manually. So we just went out of ground station reach, so we'll get the views back.
Wow.
We'll get the views back real shortly, and then the hatch will get open.
Hopefully we'll see a hatch open.
And hopefully we see it. Yeah, hopefully we see a hatch open.
The hatch is open.
SpaceX copies, hatch open.
That is fantastic news for those that...
SpaceX EV1, I'm looking at the seals. Initial view looks pretty good. I don't see any bulges or indentations.
Copy on hatch seal report.
Yeah, that seal that you just heard him talking about, it's such a important part for the end of the EVA, right? So that when they close that hatch again, you get a good... Get a good seal of the hatch.
EV2 SpaceX, can you command open forward hatch? This is going to stall it open.
There is our first view of the forward hatch, wide open to space.
Forward hatch. Execute.
If you just jumped in, we are 38 minutes into today's spacewalk, and the hatch is open on Dragon. First view from a helmet cam, looking out.
Dragon SpaceX, we see it stalled. EV1 is go to continue.
That structure you see there is...
Check for egress. EV1 good. SpaceX EV1, I'm transitioning back from under the displays.
SpaceX copies, we're with you in your helmet cam.
Once again, this helmet cam, that structure we see is the spacewalker. This is Jared now egressing through the forward hatch of Dragon Resilience. These are the first views of the first ever commercial spacewalk.
I'm at the bottom of the mobility aid, progressing.
I have a feeling the crowd is about to go wild.
Good call.
Approaching the top of the mobility aid. SpaceX. Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. All right, SpaceX, EV1, I'm going to step into Test Matrix 1. Single-handed mobility demonstration.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging
Copy,
from...
we're with you in Test Matrix 1, watching from the nose cone.
Up, down, left, and right are threes. Pitch and roll are a 3. Yaw is a 2. Switching. Single-handed operations are fine. Static and with dynamic disturbance. Switching to left hand. Up, down, left, and right are 3s, maybe a 2. Pitch is a 4. Roll is a 2. Yaw is a 2.
So these are the suit mobility checks that Jared is
Single-handed
performing.
operations, dynamic and with disturbance are all adequate. Test Matrix 1 complete. HUD check, 5.3 PSI, 48% RH, 33.9 Celsius.
SpaceX copies Test Matrix 1 and HUD readout.
Crew ops check, EV1's good.
EV2 good.
Port 1 good.
Port 2 good.
Okay, stepping into vertical translation. We're going to start with the horizontal bars. All right, we're going to transition over to vertical. I'd say vertical and horizontal are equally workable, slightly favors horizontal. I'm going to do a max reach. Left hand's at the top of the mobility aid. At the midpoint. You have good video?
We just lost our live video, but stand by one.
Okay, switching over to max reach, switching hands. Copy that, SpaceX. I'm holding up at the max reach.
And EV1, go ahead and continue the operation. We'll let you know we're back on with live video.
Copy that. And for your awareness, max reach, left aid, and the mid bar. And that's test matrix 2 is complete. HUD readout, 5.3 PSI, 33.9 Celsius, 50% RH.
Copy, test matrix complete and HUD readout.
Crew op check, EV1's good.
EV2's good.
We're good.
Part 2 good.
Stepping into test matrix 3,
And
hands-free demonstration.
EV1 SpaceX for ingress time.
Go, SpaceX.
Recommended ingress time of O2 flow plus 7 minutes.
Copy that. Ingress time, 7 minutes.
And Dragon, we're back on live video from the nose cone.
Copy that, SpaceX. And SpaceX EV1, I would say the hands-free demonstration is very comparable to the trainer in terms of the foot restraints.
SpaceX copies. And EV1, when you have time, if you'd like to return to the reach demonstration, we'll take a look at that with the live video.
Copy that. Test matrix 3 is complete. The HUD readout is 5.3 PSI, 47% RH, 33.8 Celsius, and stepping back into max reach.
Copy, test
And
matrix
as you
3.
can see, top of the mobility aid. And let's get a quick crew ops check. EV1's good.
EV2's good.
I'm good.
Part 2 good.
Copy that. Okay, max reach, whether it's left or right hand, seems to be about the same. Top of the mobility aid, and then the mid-run.
Copy, we see it.
Checking up from the bottom. Any go back, SpaceX?
Negative. We got about 1 minute until EV1 ingress.
Copy that, 1 minute. It's gorgeous.
You wanted to see the time to get the ability to run his right foot.
EV1, we're checking out your helmet cam now.
Well, I'm checking out your nose cone right now. And looks pretty good.
Copy, we'll return to nose cone. See you looking at us.
All right, we're coming up about that O2 flow timer time. Crew check for ingress. EV1's good.
EV2's good. Part 2 good.
All right. SpaceX EV1. Congrats for the huge team effort that it took to get us to this point. We know it's just the start. And I'm transitioning back into the vehicle. And Spacex EV1, just taking a quick look here at the hatch seals. From what I can see so far, they look pretty good.
Copy on the hatch seals and stand by for transition to 3-off reset.
Copy that, SpaceX. Good. And EV1 is clear.
All right, so Jared back inside. We heard him going through what's called the test matrix. It's basically just a bunch of maneuvers using different hands, using the foot mobility.
3-off reset is in progress.
Calling out numbers. Right now, though, we're doing, you just heard Arthur call up 3-off reset, so we didn't use any of the forward thrusters while Jared was out there. We're re-enabling them, putting us back in our perfect attitude before Sarah gets ready to go out the door. Fun thing to note, it's still not a perfect vacuum inside a Dragon. It's an open loop system, so oxygen is kind of getting dumped into the cabin as this is going on. So you got a higher pressure in Dragon than you have outside. So we're not worried about thruster pluming.
Yeah, now you mentioned Sarah, just like Jared, she will have 10 to 15 minutes outside, perform those same sets of mobility tests as Jared. Like we heard the Corps do with EV1, they will call out when there's 1 minute remaining.
SpaceX, attitude reset complete. EV2, go for egress.
There's Sarah's clear to proceed.
Copy. Crew check for EV2 egress.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
4 good.
4-2 good. EV2 is going to go stand in the door and then step outside.
Now this test matrix that Jared just performed and the one that Sarah's about to perform, they have both committed to memory in order to execute these. We saw it being done pretty efficiently. I can't believe how quickly that time went by. Mike, we were talking about how your spacewalks were hours and these guys only have 10 to 15 minutes and it just like that.
Yeah, it can go pretty quick, and but fortunately,
Seals look good. I see a little bit of a bulge between 14 and 13.
so you're hearing Sarah call out some more of the seal check there as she's exiting out.
It's reseated.
SpaceX copies that report. Good fix.
So this was something we knew might happen. And
It's
Sarah,
between 28 and 27.
Copy.
the crew trained on exactly what to do in this scenario, just pop it back in.
And
Reseat
one
it.
final between 19 and 18. That might be best reseated with hatch closure.
SpaceX copies. Can you repeat the location?
After EVA complete. Between 19 and 18.
All right, copy. I'll track that and ask again when you're ingress.
Copy. EV2 is proceeding with egress.
Super exciting to see this. Our fellow SpaceXer,
Yeah.
Sarah Gillis, now about to make her spacewalk.
EV1, I'm going to hand this back to you.
Like we mentioned, Sarah will be performing the same set of mobility tests. So we will do the same. Try to stand by and listen to those comms.
I mean, I said it before, a lot of us work here because we want to do this.
All right, stepping into test matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
And EV2 for awareness, we're watching from the nose cone.
And copy all. I would say in all 3 translation axes, I'm having certainly cross-coupled movements. Forward, back, I am inducing a bit of a roll. Similarly with left, right, and up, down, a bit of a pitch, but all are achievable. Rating is 3. Yaw is a 3. Roll is a 4. And pitch is a 3. Source for left hand. Stepping into vertical translation.
SpaceX copies. And EV2 for awareness, we're tracking an ingress time at O2 flow, 5-9 minutes.
Copy, 5-9 minutes. Horizontal bars are definitely preferred. And I'm adequately able to stabilize my body with single-hand disturbances. True for both left and right. Stepping into max reach, do you have visual?
Affirm, we have visual on the nose cone.
Copy from bar 4 to bar 2, from top down. And similar reach from bar 2 up to bar 4.
SpaceX copies reach.
And EVA test matrix 1 complete. Seat pressure 5.25, 33.8 Celsius, 37% humidity.
SpaceX copies HUD readout and test matrix 1 complete.
Copy, stepping into test matrix 2.
Like we mentioned before, views going in and out due to those ground station coverage gaps.
Yeah, comms are
Some of the same.
Comms are through satellites, but we've got ground stations for video on Dragon. As you can see in the tracker, we just flew over New Zealand. We're about to go right over the middle of the Pacific. No ground stations in the middle of the Pacific.
Forward are actually pretty good.
We're hearing the voice of mission specialist Sarah Gillis, our fellow SpaceXer on her spacewalk.
She's got about a minute left, and then she's going to start heading inside.
And SpaceX with a little more work, they can actually get between almost bar 1 and bar 4 on max reach.
SpaceX copies.
And you could see the Earth dark, and we flew into like an
All
orbital.
right, and test matrix 2, kind of combine them, so we'll call that complete. Seat pressure 5.27, 38% humidity, 33.7 Celsius.
SpaceX copies, matrix complete, and HUD readout.
Stepping into hands-free demo. I'm able to engage and disengage my feet.
Copy that, EV2. And once you are able to engage, disengage, we'll actually have you start ingress. We're just over 5.9 minutes O2 flow.
Copy. With that, EV2 is proceeding with ingress. Pre-check for ingress.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
Good.
14 good. Copy. Coming on in.
All right, and just like that, Sarah's going to start
All
making
of the
her way
striker
in.
plates are clear.
Check those hatch seals again.
SpaceX copies on striker plates. And EV2, I have one more ask for the hatch, if you can check that out as well when ready to copy.
Ready?
And
Ready, copy.
Copy. And EV2, what I'll have you do is, when you ingress, can you get eyes on the hatch handle mechanism and see if the handle has been stowed in the do not stow window, and report if you can see that?
Check it. I think it's just outside.
Copy, just outside. Thank you.
Just outside the range. And for awareness, I do see a couple of those same points bulging again between 12 and 13.
Copy, your go to
5.
address.
No, mostly between 12 and 13 right now.
SpaceX copies at 12. If you can, your go to address those.
Copy and work.
These numbers being called out represent the location around. Yeah, the location around the circular hatch, just identifying where these bulges are. So Sarah's now reseating that seal.
Not quite able to reach the back one, so we'll proceed with clearing for hatch closure.
Just like that, we're already hearing about hatch closure. It's incredible that these two EVAs, just in 2 blinks of the eyes, are...
EV2 is clear of hatch, please.
2 checks.
On your screen there is SpaceX Core, or Crew Operations and Resource Engineer. On duty tonight is Arthur Berrialt. This is the voice to the crew throughout their operations. Of course, you know, everyone has to sleep, so we have different shifts for Core. But Mike, your time in Dragon.
Driving close. You're good?
Copy. Deploying handle. Applying force. And closing.